Hey, this is Wendy from Science-yHairBlog, and we're going to cover easy ways to understand and use dew point and relative humidity in your weather forecast and how that applies to your hair, and also why hair absorbs moisture from humidity. Dew point is a temperature. It's the temperature at which air is completely saturated with water when dew forms. Dew point and temperature are related. Warmer air can potentially hold more water. Dew point is stable. It belongs to the air mass that is around you right now, and it won't change until another one moves in. Relative humidity is relative to the temperature and to the dew point, and it can change over the course of the day, and it usually does. It's reported as a percent because it's the percent of water the air contains relative to the amount of water it can potentially hold, which is called the dew point. So we're going to look at dew point here. The box on the left is scaled to be twice as large as the box on the right. The left is high dew point air, the right is lower dew point air. And if we fill those up with water, you can see the high dew point air can hold more water than the lower dew point air. Dew forms when the air is saturated. It has all the water it can hold. Now, relative humidity, we've kept the same boxes for high and low dew point air, and I've filled them with the same volume of water, but the higher dew point air is not as full. The relationship between the amount of water in the air to the dew point is the relative measurement, relative humidity. So low relative humidity looks like this. High relative humidity looks like this. There's more water filling up the air. And because the dew point is higher on the left, the volume of water in the air is greater. The lower dew point air, the volume of water is less. A high dew point humid day looks like this. In the morning, there's high relative humidity, there's cool temperatures close to the dew point, there's dew on the grass, and the air has a little bit of haze or moisture. By midday, the relative humidity has decreased a little because the air has warmed. And by evening, the relative humidity is creeping back up towards dusk and the air is cooling. Now, on a less humid high dew point day, in the morning there may not be any dew and the temperatures are near but not at the dew point. By midday, the relative humidity has decreased quite a bit because the temperature increased and because this air mass is less saturated with water. It had the potential to hold more water, it never lived up to it. So warming air, relative humidity decreases because water molecules get active and they spread out with the heat. Don't overthink it. That was background information. Now we're going to get to the application part. Decode your dew point. You've probably seen these little diagrams where it's dry, humid, sticky, very humid, tropical. If your dew point is above 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, check the relative humidity and other factors. If you have you need to keep your hair together, you've got an important day, your hair tends to frizz a lot and you want it to look good. For example, is it foggy? Is it raining? Is it misty? Are you in the forest? Are you at the ocean? Assume these situations are more consistently humid. If you need high resolution detail, check a forecast that has an hourly relative humidity forecast, and it might look something like this. I made this one up. This is an extreme variation. The arrow points to the relative humidity line, and it might look like this. And if you want to decode your relative humidity, 0 to 40% is usually going to be pretty dry. 40 to 50% is usually good levels for hair flexibility. 50 to 65%, your hair might be going flat or starting to frizz, and at 65% or greater, it just continues getting worse. Number 2 is hydrogen bonding. This is a water molecule. On the bottom are 2 plus charges. Hair has a net negative charge, and the positives and the negatives find each other. They bond to the water. And what happens as a result? Hairs elongate just a little bit as they absorb moisture. The weight increases a little, the flexibility increases, the buoyancy may increase. You get that halo frizz as your hairs reach for the sky. Curl pattern may change as a result. Products lose their hold. Also, hair absorbs moisture unevenly along the hair strand. So the root area is supposed to be at the left, the bottom is at the right. As hair gets more porous down the hair shaft, unless your hair is really short, it absorbs more moisture where it's more porous. And also humidity will affect the top layer of your hair differently than ones underneath and at the ends and the roots. And if it's really hot and humid and you're sweating, it's going to be absorbing moisture by your neck. Now, if we're closer to freezing temperatures, most of this stuff doesn't matter as much. Even a high relative humidity when the temperature is at or below freezing can't hold as much water, unless it's foggy or misty. So, high relative humidity and high dew point, any hair type is going to change because of the humidity in the air. Check out this post on the Science-yHairBlog where I'm going to have links to humidity managing hair products and related posts, and please subscribe for new posts on YouTube, and thank you for listening.